Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. Thanks for tuning into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. I'm President and CEO of Swiss America Trading. We are a 40 plus year old precious metals firm that we take a look at some of the changing dynamics in our financial markets, in our economy, in hopes of providing people a better understanding, maybe some knowledge in terms of what's happening out there so that they can, it's the old saying goes, be forewarned is forearmed, where you know what's happening so you can maybe do something to protect against it. I have with me today my co-host, Chris Agelastos. Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, and I'm glad you're doing well. And let's talk about some financial things, okay?
Fun stuff.
Um, First article, de-dollarization efforts won't stop as global giants defy Trump's 100% tariff threat. So the terror drum beats on, tariff, excuse me. Well, terror and tariff are probably fitting. Um, this is crazy. I mean, this has been from the beginning, huge topic of discussion. And there, as it says, Trump's threatened these huge tariffs, and these countries they're saying we really don't care. And in this case,
Yeah.
you have Brazil's president Lula da Silva, I believe it is. Yeah, says BRICS is committed to ending U.S. dollar dominance no matter what. So, I mean, it's really kind of fascinating because when all of this started going down, as we've been covering BRICS now, Chris, for probably close to 2 years, maybe a year and a half at
Yeah.
least. And the bottom line is that this whole sentiment of killing the dollar has been at the forefront of conversations. And there's only been, a few times where there was a little bit backing off or backing away from that. But really, the bottom line is that these countries they're done with U.S. dollar dominance. And so, do you think these tariff threats are going to do anything, or is BRICS just going to roll on here? And are they right? Are they going to end the U.S. dollar dominance?
Well, I definitely don't think they're going to stop. Some of the rhetoric around it, may speed up or slow down depending on what other things are happening in the world. I think it's interesting that we're hearing so much from Brazil right now, rather than Russia. And of course, the U.S. is very involved in trying to, bring some peace to the Russia and Ukraine conflict. So I feel like, oh, maybe that's why, Russia's being a little quiet on this right now. And what's great for BRICS is they can sort of take turns, deciding who's going to say what and kind of pushing their agenda forward. So if somebody needs to step back a little bit, they can. But they're very upfront about their goal here. He specifically said that President Trump's threats of tariffs won't stop our determination to seek alternative platforms for payment between our countries.
Right.
So it's there is no mincing of words there.
Well, and
Now,
you're putting it mildly when alternative forms of payment. So in so much as like they're saying they want to end U.S. dollar dominance. So
yeah,
you're right, with what you're saying, but there's the sugarcoat part of it, and then you've got the blatant part of it where like they want to end U.S. dollar dominance. I mean,
yeah.
it's a thing. They want to see the dollar done.
Right. Now, the flip side of that is, the euro really didn't displace the U.S. dollar much, and so far, BRICS really hasn't. But that threat is still there, and it's certainly causing a lot of tension, as well between us and the BRICS nations. So, and part of it is too. I think Trump is definitely confrontational, let's say, right? I mean, he gets out there,
Sure.
he says what he wants to say. He's very direct, maybe even harsh, and so that's what's hard to know is some of this just um, it seems so tense and sort of like an aggravated situation. Maybe just because he's so in your face about it. This could have been happening behind the scenes before too, and we just weren't getting it because obviously we weren't hearing anything from President Biden. I mean,
Right.
he almost didn't even want to acknowledge BRICS. So So no, I mean, I guess to answer your question, I don't think this is going to slow down. I think it's going to speed up. Tariffs, could they have an impact on some of this? Absolutely. Do I think that they're going to completely stop BRICS at this point? No, it's too much has been invested, too much time, too much money, and there's too much of a benefit for them to
Right.
just give up on these plans.
Right. Well, to your earlier point about how Russia's kind of quiet right now, you're right. And be that as it may, as and because I was thinking the exact same thing, but all the while, you and I both know Russia's sentiments in this regard are tenfold probably that of Brazil. So, like, even
Right,
though they're not saying it, what the president of Brazil is voicing, Russia is tenfold that amount.
right,
So anyway, all right. Well, looking at this next one, it kind of on the right on the heels of that, BRICS confirms development of new payment system in 2025. And I think what you touched on was a really good point and a good comparison. When the euro came out, and how it did not completely displace the dollar, but I think the one difference there too, Chris, is that I don't. I mean, I don't think there's a country in the world that wouldn't rather see the dollar not be number one anymore. I mean, that goes without saying.
right.
But I don't. I think the euro's purpose was really more strengthening their situation more so than it was necessarily to like get rid of in totality the US dollar. I think they were more concerned about
Right.
themselves than they were the dollar. Whereas I don't know, to me it just seems with BRICS, this is more of a targeted approach, if you will. But they're
Yeah.
talking about here, like they have their summit coming up this what is it, this July,
Hmm.
and this is an example, a new payment system in 2025. Well, we're in 2025. So like this is these are pretty strong words, and it seems like there's a growing confidence that they have in that, hey, this is happening. We're not only is the BRICS alliance growing, but these changes, not least of which being currency and that de-dollarization, it's happening. And so, I don't know. I mean, personally speaking, it wouldn't surprise me to see them have a payment system by as soon as this year.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? You think it's possible?
Yeah, I mean, look, they've flat out said that they are building this new payment system. So I don't know exactly, how much goes into that, but that's one of the major topics that they've slated for this July meeting. I believe it's the second week in July in Rio. Um, they're going to specifically discuss alternative payment options to the U.S. dollar. So again, kind of like you were saying, the the euro was really more to benefit them, with travel across borders and things like that. It wasn't really anti-dollar. Everything that BRICS talks about is to end the dollar, right? They're very
Right.
aggressive about not liking the U.S. dollar. So I'm curious to see. I mean, we're only a few months away, really. I mean, it sounds like, oh, July, but I mean, we're already into March. The year's cruising along, and I'm curious to see some of the details about these new payment systems and how far they make it. But I have a feeling they're a lot further along than they even allude to in these statements.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
they've been working on this for years, really,
Well,
and
and I
uh,
agree.
and the technology is there.
Part of the reason I say I agree, Chris, is because everything we've shared on these podcasts, or everything I've read outside of the podcast, they're just a confidence they have when they're talking about it. Not
Yeah,
like, not like when I was a kid, say when I grow up I'm going to be an astronaut type thing. I mean, it seems real. This seems like there's a hey, there's something actually here happening.
yeah,
So, and at the end of the day, I don't know. Let me ask you this, or what your thoughts on this are. To me, what it seems like when you have like two different conversations that are going on. You've got Trump at every turn, President Trump. He's talking about tariffs, strengthening the dollar, threatening these countries, whatever. And it's like he's having that conversation, and then you have these BRICS nations that are having a whole different conversation. Like, yeah, okay, we know there's terrorists, but here's what we're doing. It's like they're two different worlds.
Yeah. Well, and if anything, the more President Trump, talks about weaponizing the dollar and using its leverage against other nations, the more it's going to fuel BRICS to develop their own program. I mean, the writing's on the wall at this point. If they don't do something about it, it's sort of on them.
Right. 100%. All right. Well, stay tuned, people. We will have certainly a lot more conversations, not only about tariffs, but BRICS as well, and all the other good things. Chris, this all leads into a reason to be financially diversified so you have yourself protected and prepared, not only in something that's tangible, that's not tied to debt, but something that also has been one of the top producing or best producing, performing, I should say, asset classes there is over the last several years. So if people want to learn more about gold or maybe even look at diversifying their holdings into gold, what would they need to do?
Yeah, visit the website, www.swissamerica.com. You can also call or text us at 1-800-289-2646. I would encourage people, really, there's a lot of topics we talk about here that you can't necessarily change, right? We can't affect whether or not BRICS is going to advance, whether or not our country is going to implement tariffs. But what you can do is protect yourself and be prepared. And looking at diversifying some of your portfolio into tangibles like this is, akin to having some extra food and water in the pantry for a rainy day. And that's
Right.
really what we encourage people to do with their investments as well. So yeah, call, text, visit the website. We'll get some information to you and help you figure this out.
And when I say gold, for those of you tuning in, I mean gold, silver, tangibles as a whole. Both are fantastic opportunities right now in terms of performance, but also, again, I think a vital necessity as it pertains to just being diversified into something physical. So,
For
all right, well,
sure.
thank you for that. And if you're not subscribed to this podcast, we would encourage you to do so, as we'd love to talk to you more in the future. Chris, thanks for the information and have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.